Hey guys, I'm Mason, and this is Wrestling in the Dark, the only wrestling review and recap podcast brought to you by a blind fan, as far as I know. It's NXT UK time, episode 38. But what happened and how good was it? Let's jump right in and take a look at this week's episode. Starting off with Kassius Ohno versus Travis Banks, and this was one hell of a way to kick off the show. It was a really decent match. I like Kassius Ohno. I'm getting there with Travis Banks. I'm not sure why he hasn't quite grabbed me yet, but I am getting there, and this match went a long way towards helping me with that. It was classic face versus heel work here. Ohno just wanted to keep the match nice and slow. He wanted to keep Banks out of his wheelhouse, and Banks just kept trying to pick up the pace. The early moments of the match saw Ohno trying to apply that wrist lock control, trying to use those fundamentals to keep Travis Banks grounded and slow. Nigel put over that he wasn't being arrogant, he was being confident because of how much experience he's had and all the people he's been in the ring with. It was a sort of respectful bout in the early moments, like a respectful rivalry, but it just built and built with the action. It was all Ohno for the early moments until Travis Banks hit some kicks to the lower body. I just want to apologise right now if you can hear anything in the background. I've waited all morning, but there's some sort of gardening, landscaping, etc. going on outside. I'm really sorry if you can hear it. Yeah. Travis Banks eventually hit some kicks to the lower body. He got Ohno down. He hit a dive to the outside, but Ohno was just ready for it. He countered and no-sold it, stamped on Banks's foot, and it was all him for a while there again. They were fighting in the ring for a while. Banks eventually managed to hit like a successful dive, hit the knee to the face on the outside. They were back on the inside, and Ohno baited Banks in, waited for the double stomp but countered it. This was a really nice bit of psychology there, just waiting for the move that he knows was coming. He hit the moonsault, but Banks countered. Towards the end of the match, the pace really picked up, where both men hit their big moves. Travis hit the Kiwi Crusher, and the other move that he has that I'm struggling to think of the name of right now. But nevertheless, Ohno kicked out of both. But Ohno hit the Rubik's Cube, and that put Travis down for the 2 count, but it just wasn't successful. Banks just was struggling really to get any offense in here because Ohno was just punishing him. He hit a big knee to the shoulder at one point. The commentators played up that Banks' shoulder's been injured in the past recently, and that he might have suffered nerve damage, and he was really selling that knee to the shoulder had affected him, shaking out his fingers, trying to get the feeling back. And he was also struggling with his foot because of the spot earlier in the match where Ohno hit him in the foot. So it was just trying to get that pace quickening, but also struggling with his strength. Towards the end of the match, Ohno was looking for the ripcord elbow, but Banks countered with the backslide cover. Ohno kicked out, and they traded covers back and forth for a moment before Banks eventually got the win. I really liked this match. Thought it was fast-paced. Thought there was some pretty cool spots in here. Both men looked pretty good coming out of it because Ohno didn't lose decisively. Either one of those men could have got pinned in those near falls that they were trading backwards and forwards between each other. They both hit each other with the big moves and kicked out. So it was you can continue this rivalry if you wanted, you could end it, and neither man looks worse coming out of it. Plus, it's a win for Travis Banks. Also, I really like that Nigel made fun of the New Zealand football team in this match, just because who doesn't like Nigel's heel work with that sort of thing? Just sort of not obnoxious, just a quick jab at the New Zealand football team. I gave this match a 5 out of 6, and I really think that it deserved that, and it was a great way to kick off the show. Next up, Jordan Devlin cut a short but effective promo. He said that Pete Dunne lost at TakeOver New York and that makes him a loser, and that Devlin himself has done nothing but win on the brand, and that makes him far more deserving of a title shot than the extremely long reigning champion Pete Dunne. And I was like, yeah, okay, Jordan, yeah, okay, you go after Walter and then come back to us and tell us how it went afterwards. I can't wait to see but Walter beat the crap out of Jordan, because he is a very effective heel. I hate him, to be honest, which is that's on point. Next up, we had Piper Neven in her in-ring debut against Killer Kelly, and this was a squash match, just a pretty standard squash match at that, but it still was effective in what it was setting out to achieve. It made Piper look dominant, it showed what she could do, it gave the commentators a chance to put her over. Nigel was saying that she was the only woman that he knew of that could rival the strength of Rhea Ripley, and that was a nice touch, and it was pretty much all Piper throughout the match. She hit a senton on Killer Kelly that sounded like it absolutely murdered her. Kelly sold it really well audibly. That was a nice touch. Kelly fired back in the middle section of the match. She was going for striking combinations to the low to the midsection and face, but the Piper was coming back at her. Kelly eventually managed to lock in the sleep hold with the body scissors applied as well, but Nigel was putting over that she hadn't locked it in deep enough, there wasn't enough pressure on the carotid, and because of that, Piper was able to fight out of it, and after gaining the advantage again, she hit her finisher, which I think Nigel said was some sort of high angle driver. I could do with a little bit more detail than that. I know I could go and ask any number of people what she actually did and what it looks like, but that's not the point. I do think that the one problem with wrestling moves having actual names is that sometimes they just rely on that and they don't want to describe what it looks like, and that was the one sort of complaint I had. But it wasn't meant to be a 6 out of 6 match. This wasn't. It was just meant to introduce Piper Neven, show what she can do, get the ball rolling on a winning streak. So that was nice and effective, and I gave it a 4 out of 6. After that, it was the grizzled young veterans, or rather just more Zach Gibson cutting a promo. This was brilliant, just that typical Gibson fire, the attitude. He said that they were being forced to fly out to Brooklyn. He said last time that they did that, Johnny Saint made them put the titles on the line, and that they were just going to get ahead of him, basically, and issued an open challenge, but he said Yanks need not apply, because this is the NXT UK Tag Team Championships, soon to be recognised as the most important championship in the world, and I really, really liked it. He said he should be in Liverpool showing support to the Liverpool football team at the back end of the Premier League, and it was just, I love Gibson's promos. You can't fault them, can you? It was such good character work, and I really like the Yanks need not apply. I think that was brilliant. And after that, it was Joseph Connors versus Jack Stars. I was going to call him Zach Stars then. Jack Stars. This, again, squash match, but nowhere near as good as the Piper Neven one. I like Joseph Connors. He's got some good intensity about him. He's really good at talking trash in the ring. Got a recognisable voice. You would always know that it's him. I like that he's always screaming at his opponents, "Oh, look at me! Look at me!" And this one, he was constantly asking the ref, ask him if he's okay, and asking Jack if he was okay, and there was a nice little exchange between Nigel and Vic where Nigel said, oh, he's nice and he's he's concerned about the well-being of Jack Stars, and Vic sold it like he didn't understand that it was sarcasm. That was a nice little charming moment between Vic and Nigel. Other than that, there wasn't a lot of action called in this match. I couldn't really tell you anything else that happened other than Connor's delivering the Don't Look Down for the win on Jack Stars. I gave it a 3 out of 6. To be honest, I feel bad giving it a 3. It's a low 3, but it did serve its purpose in terms of just giving Connors another win and keeping him fresh in the minds of people. But I'd like to see him get used a little bit more, because he's got really good mic skills, and I think that they could make something of it. Yeah, so that came in at a 3 out of 6, and hopefully we can see Connors get a little bit more of a push after this. And finally, in the main event, it's the NXT UK Women's Championship match on the line, with Toni Storm defending against Ginnie. This was another really decent match. Started off the show with a great match between Ohno and Banks, and ended with this, which was also a very decent match. I really like the dynamic between Ginnie and Toni. Toni's such a good face. They've done a really good job of endearing her to the NXT UK audience. The fact that they always put over that she chooses to live here, that she feels like this is her home, it really helps endear her into the heart of the crowd, and I always get behind her in her matches because it's just so nice to see how much she cares about being here, being the UK champ, and they've done a fantastic job with her. Ginnie also has got really on-point character work. She just believes that Toni isn't as good as she says she is, that the UK deserves better. I love that line about the UK needing a hero, but Toni not being anyone's hero. It's just really nice character work. I wish that they wouldn't have gone with her calling herself the Queen. It's obvious why. We've got Charlotte on the main roster, and it's been done before, so her calling herself the Queen I could do with changing, but other than that, I really like her presentation and her character work and her attitude. This match started off pretty quickly. I really couldn't make any notes for the first few minutes because it was just complete fast-paced action with each woman trying to jockey for position, and in the end Toni ended up on top. She applied the single-legged Boston Crab, and then she transitioned a little bit later into an STF with the figure four applied to the legs, which sounds really, really painful. I like that. I don't think I've ever seen that done before, but it sounds really painful, which was nice. There's a lot of submission work in this match, which was nice. Ginnie locked in her own submission at one point. Toni was trying to fight out. She got her left arm out, reaching for the ropes. Ginnie managed to keep hold of the right arm. She transitioned into the camel clutch, which I thought was really nice. Toni transitioned into her own camel clutch, I assume. I think they said that she transitioned into a submission of her own. So they made it sound like it was the camel clutch. I don't know if it was or not. There was a couple of things like that throughout the match that they didn't quite manage to call. Ginnie put Toni down for a near fall at some point where Toni got her toe on the ropes just barely, and I'm not really sure what the move was that led to that near fall. But Ginnie kept coming back at Toni, firing nasty offense at her. She hit a flatliner at some point. She bounced Toni's face off the middle rope. All really nice stuff. She was looking for the Storm Zero at one point to hit Toni with it, but Toni wasn't having it. Kept fighting back. In the end, she hit a power bomb and rolled through for that Storm Zero and picked up the win. This was really enjoyable to watch. It was quick, nifty. It felt like it was over pretty soon, but it felt like they had plenty of things in the match to showcase what each woman can do, and again, make them both come out of it looking just as good, if not better. A decent exhibition match. Again, the Storm Zero, I'm not particularly sure what it is. I think that I've heard it from people in the past, and I know I could go and ask people what it is, but I'm just saying it would be nice if every now and again, they don't have to do it every match, but every couple of months, just assume that you've got new viewers and explain what the finisher is. It doesn't matter who it is, really. It's just every couple of months remind us what the finisher is, and that's all I really have to say on that one. I really, really enjoyed this episode in general. It felt over really quickly. Like sometimes I'll turn on an episode of NXT UK and it'll feel like it's lasted forever. But this one felt like it was over really quickly, had a really nice, nifty pace to it. Really enjoyed the Ohno match, really enjoyed the Toni Storm match, and the Piper Neven debut was good too. It, again, not great, but it served its purpose, and with things like that, there's certain conventions in wrestling, and there's certain things, and the way things are done, that you just can't complain. It's that natural pattern. She's come in, she's going to be dominant, so they need to give her a squash match. And other than that, solid promos from Devlin and Zach, and that was the whole thing in a nutshell. I really enjoyed it. I'd give it a 5 out of 6 for the show. And so with that, we've come to the end of the review, and that's what I thought of NXT UK this week. But what did you think? I would love to know, so leave me a comment in the comment section down below, and we'll discuss it. If you've liked what I've done in this podcast, hit that like button, and if you want to stay up to date with all the rest of my videos, hit that subscribe button, hit the notify bell, and you'll never miss an episode of Wrestling in the Dark.